Yo, welcome back to our next episode for our podcast. Like Kai said from the last episode, today we're just gonna be talking about our draft prospects and specifically cornerbacks, right? And so cornerbacks in this draft specifically is probably one of the deeper drafts, right, that we've seen, right? And so, with that said, we're just going to be taking turns and giving each other, feedback on, what we think about some of these prospects. And, some of them may be like the top prospects, some of them might be even like, later down the draft and stuff like that. So yeah.
Mm, Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was, when we were talking about, how we were going to formulate this video, you
Mm-hmm.
know, these are, some of the guys that, are just guys that we like their game. We think
Mm-hmm.
it'll translate well to the NFL. Really, where they go in the draft is where they go in the draft. I mean, I won't make any predictions just yet. But I started off, with a guy that is considered, cornerback one or somewhere in that realm, Cooper DeJean, out of
Yeah.
Iowa. I love his game, man. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
now he's starting to get a little bit more buzz as we start to, get closer to the draft process. But, I've been talking about him for a while now. You know what I mean? Like, he was a major, component in, that Iowa defense that has been good for quite a good time now. Um, I just feel like he's the most physical and aggressive corner in this draft. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a heavy, blitzing your corners, or you're heavy, run protection and all that, I feel like he'll really fit well in that scheme.
Mm-hmm.
He's a form tackler. He's a willing tackler, which is crazy because, you know, he used to be a quarterback. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he's kind of switched over to, DB, he kind of understands, what a quarterback is looking for. Um, the fact that he's such a willing tackler is honestly the most impressive thing. And the first thing, if you cut on his tape or you cut on any highlights, listen when he gets a
Yeah.
hold of you, you go down. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I definitely feel like that'll translate well to the league.
Yeah, yeah, man. And just like quickly on that, like, even before this, right, when we talk about in our football group chat that we have going on, right, we were talking about, oh, who's the best corner to draft, right? And people were talking about, possibly Terrion, Nate Wiggins, even, or like, Kool Aid, McKinstry, right? But I think what me and Kai both agree on is that, like, you're talking about like all around game, right? What you see, what you want from a corner is Cooper DeJean, man. And so, like you said, he's just a willing tackler. He's just a willing tackler, man. And you just don't see that often from a lot of corners. Because a lot of corners, right, they can be good, but they're not willing tacklers. So, and that can get you, out the game. You want to give a perfect example. It's one of those guys. It was I think second in the running for defensive rookie of the year last year,
Hmm.
right? You want to talk about the Seahawks corner. I forgot his name.
Witherspoon,
No, the other corner they drafted.
Woolen.
Yeah, yeah, Woolen. Yeah, he had like 6 picks, right? But then this
Hmm.
year, he's basically getting benched because he can't tackle,
Hmm.
right? So it doesn't matter what you do in coverage wise, but it's important to just fucking tackle, right?
Hmm.
So this is but yeah, that's definitely a aspect of the game where that he definitely brings. And then with that said, I'll go on to like one of the guys that I like and who's been getting a lot of buzz lately, especially the Senior Bowl, so like that practices, right? Is Quinion Mitchell, man, from Toledo. You talking about a guy that's, yeah, he has a perfect build. He has a perfect build. 6 foot, 196, right? You talking about a guy who's, he's been very, very, I guess like proactive in a sense of like what he gets done. Like he leads the I think NCAA in like pass deflections in the past couple years. He has 37. That's insane. 37 in 2 years. That's insane, right? And then this year alone, he has I think like what 6 or 5 picks or something like that. And then to go with that, I mean, he has a 44.3 rating QB rating when he's targeted. So you're talking about a guy where he's able to, he'll get physical with you. He'll get physical with you, right? And he's proven that in the Senior Bowl with a lot of receivers. They're like he'll stay on your back hip. He'll stay on your back hip, and And occasionally, he will take chances. Like he'll bite sometimes, but that's just him saying, "Yo, be careful." Like you throw it his way, he's gonna jump it. He's gonna find a way to make a play on the ball, whether it's a pass deflection or interception,
Hmm.
right? But I guess like the one little knock on him, or quote unquote knock, if you want to even say that, is that I guess like the scheme they ran a lot was like zone, right? And then he played man to man only like I think like about it's crazy. He only played man to man like about 4% of the time, which is
Mm-hmm.
insane. But I I think you can obviously tell that if he's put in a position to play man to man, he can play man to man. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and kind of going off that that same kind of vein of corner, I want to give a little love to Nate Wiggins. I mean,
Mm,
another one of the guys that I am really high on Nate Wiggins in this draft, man. Like, he gives me a lot of vibes of a Tariq Woolen. You know what I mean? Like a big corner.
mm-hmm,
He's 6'2", right? And he just finds a way to get the ball. And when he does get the ball, he's electric after the catch. You know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm,
he's kind of, when the ball is in the air, he turns into a receiver, right? Like, I feel as though just pure ball skills. I feel like he has the best ball skills really in this draft, right? It would not surprise me if in his rookie season he has about 3, 4 picks, right?
mm-hmm,
Because he just finds ways to attack that ball. And the Clemson defense this year was not as good as it has been in the past.
mm-hmm.
Really that team in general, but he was one of the major bright spots on that team. You know what I mean? Always making plays.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and like you said, you're talking about ball hawks. He's a definition of ball hawk, man. Like he will, like if it's up in the air, and it's 1-on-1, you just trust that he's gonna either come down with it or make a play, right?
Mhm.
And so like you said, it's one of those things where like it's on a based on what team you're on. It's based on preference at the end of the day,
Mhm.
right? Because like there's a lot of good prospects, right? But if some scouts might prefer one thing over the other, right? Because they all have a scheme at the end of the day, and you want to bring in a player that fits your scheme, right? And so with that said, I'm gonna go on to my next guy that I have here, and I guess this is the first cornerback that's not really, he's not really a big name per se, right? But, he might be in the later rounds. I predict he probably be like a third round pick or something like that, or maybe fourth, and that his name is Chris Abrams Drain. Uh, Honestly, it might be a hot take, but I know he's the cornerback number two on Missouri, but I feel like he should be the number one.
Mm.
I think he's better. I think personally, for what I like, he's better than Ennis, his counterpart, cornerback number one, right? And so I mean, there's a couple things. There's a couple things I really like from him. Talking about a guy in 1 year, right? In 1 year has 4 interceptions, one forced fumble, a couple sacks to that, right? You talked about how Nate Wiggins is a ball hog. I think he can be some type of a form of a ball hog as well. He makes very good, like he plays the ball. He plays for the ball when it's in the air all the time, man. And
Mhm.
talking about like a guy who's able to tackle as well. Like you don't see a lot of guys that's like, oh, baby, be able to track the ball when it's up in the air, and like be able to tackle as well. He's one of the more, like you said, like all around corners. Obviously, if you're getting picked in the later rounds, he has some type of knock
Mhm.
to you. And I guess with that, it's just like you know, it depends on the receiver he covers. I'll say that. I guess like with more, I guess a little bit smaller and more twitchier, faster receivers, he tends to to struggle a little bit because he doesn't have the I guess like the quickness, to turn his hips and everything and make a play on it, right? But he's not the worst, right? That's something you can
All right.
develop, right? And so for me, he makes play on the ball, pass deflection as well. Talking about every year he's getting better in his 3 year stint. He went from 7, 14 to 12, right? Getting better in that department. And so talking about a guy that's I think he's underrated, and I feel like
Mhm.
if he's able to do really well, or sometimes like blow some people away with some like combine numbers or something like that, I think he can kind of make it to the second round, maybe like a late second round pick. Who knows?
Mm.
Who knows?
Okay.
But you know, I think personally, should I say it? Should I say it? I think he might be a top 8 corner.
Okay.
I think he might be a top 8 corner. I know a lot of people have him a lot further down because of his his counterpart. I mean, He's a cornerback number two for a reason. There's a cornerback one for a reason, right? So, but like I said, I'm really high on this guy. I think he's better than NS, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kind of uh staying on that same vein of that guys that kind of get a little bit over, shadowed by, the guy lining up next to them, and you know, I like to give, some spotlight to Mike Sanders, so
Mm-hmm.
the cornerback out of Michigan. You know what I mean? It's hard to stand out when you have a guy across the, your counterpart is Will Johnson, a guy
Mm-hmm.
that could be a top 10 pick, next year, right?
Yeah.
But Mikey finds a way. You know what I mean? He always is making a play. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Biggest game of the season, he goes out there as a corner and has 8 tackles and a pick. You know what I mean? Like, he'll have a pick six, he'll have a forced fumble, he'll have a sack, in crunch time. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's a big he's a big time player, right? When you need a guy to make a play, he finds a way to make a play. And listen, just because he was a number two was not does not mean that he wasn't, facing, number ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because some teams would try to, kind of hide their guy and kind of get him away from, Will Johnson, but it was no easier on number zero, right? And kind of, Cooper. I feel as though he's the most physical, right? I feel like Nate Wingers is the best ball hawk, but I feel like Sanders still is the most versatile, right? I
Mm.
feel like he can play a little corner, a little nickel. I feel like he can play a little safety, right? I feel like
And I feel like if you need him a little bit, maybe on the outside as well.
maybe on the out, like he's one of those guys where kind of similar to how we use Derwin James. Like he's one of those
Mm.
guys where you wanna have him moving around, right? You don't want to peg him in one hole where he's just an outside corner, right? Because he can affect the defense and affect the offense, you know, in so many different ways, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
want that guy to be moving around, using his instincts and making plays, right? I feel like, whatever team, whatever round, that's what you can expect from him, and that's really when he's at his best. And listen, like when we talk about like our guys, like he is very high up on that list for me. Like guys where I would not be mad if come draft time he's on my team.
Yeah, man, and talking about like a perfect fit too. I mean, like the Chargers just hired Jim Harbaugh, and then they bring over the same defensive coordinator too, right? So I think that's
Hmm.
definitely the guy to like look for when you talk about the Chargers and their potential draft outlook and stuff like that, right? And let's get back to like the last guy that we have on here, especially for me. Funny enough, I did had Mike Sandstro, right? But I chose a guy just in case if it comes to that, right? And one of the other corners I really like as well is his name is Kyrie Jackson, man, from Oregon. Talking about a guy that he could not get any playing time from Alabama, so he had to transfer out, right? Transfer out all the way to Oregon, right? And so going to Oregon, people were saying, you know what, we'll give you a shot, right? We don't know what kind of player you are, right? We'll give you a shot, right? And shoot, he made the most of it, right? And that's all you need. You need all you need is a program, team, franchise, or whatever. Just give you a chance and give it an opportunity to play, right? And boy, did he do it, man. So like talking about a guy who fresh off a great, very good season, very very good season, 3 interceptions, 7 pass deflections, 2 sacks, 34 total tackles, right? I talked about earlier about one of the top guys in the draft, Quinion Mitchell, right? And similarly, Kyrie Jackson, he has a 44.2 QB rating when targeted, right? That's nothing to sniff about, right? So like you talking about a guy that's also tall, right?
Yeah.
He's tall and lengthy, man. 6'3", 203, man, and he can run. He's fast too. Don't
Hmm.
don't let the size fool you, right? Because like he moves well. He sheds off blocks, right? He's able to do a lot of the things that you don't really expect tall corners to do. But when you look in today's NFL and like the tall physical corners like a Jalen Ramsey,
Hmm.
even like I think Tyson Campbell from what's it called, the Jaguars, right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of big tall corners in today's NFL where if you put it all together and you start to develop it, you can be one of the best corners in the NFL, man,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like I said, like it's a lot of good corners in this draft class, right? But those are the three guys that we have. We all have, like I said, Kai has like some more guys that are more higher in draft, and like he broke it down to like give different categories. Ball hawk,
Mhm.
tackler, versatile, right? For
Mhm.
me, I kind of focus a little bit more on like people that doesn't really have recognition yet,
Mhm.
but I feel like especially like I said, like once the Pro Bowl, not the Pro Bowl, the Senior Bowl starts going, right? Once the Combine and Pro Day, whatever, right? All that scouting, like I said, Quinn Mitchell, Chris Abrams-Drain, and Kyrie Jackson, right? Those are guys that possibly rise their draft stock. Who knows,
Mhm.
right? And so with that said, I think this is a time where you guys just like let us know about your favorite corners, right? Who knows? Do you think Cooper DeJean is the best corner to the draft? That's who we think it is, but who knows? You might go on a limb and say, who knows? It might be freaking
Yeah.
whoever. It could be whoever, right? But like yeah, like I said, this is a time for you guys just to let us know your opinions and how you guys feel about the cornerback draft.
So drop that in the comment section below. But with that being said, we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir. Peace.